You're listening to Revolution Radio, freedomslips.com, 100% listener-supported radio, and now we return you to your host.
Welcome to Revolution Radio. This is Brian Rue on the Brian Rue Show. It's June 26, 2018. Last week my guest was Paul Martin. He's a Zen teacher in Ontario. He's the only other Buddhist teacher I know will come on there with me and show his face and talk about the Jewish question, particularly Jewish control over Buddhism. So that was good. And we also had in the second hour last week Pete Papa Heracles, and he'll be coming on again today in the second hour. But my guest in the first hour is Geraldine Westfall. She was on last week. She's talking about her experiences seeing some people's eyes turning into reptilian eyes, which is quite amazing. In fact, it's amazing. Last night I had a dream. That I was at a meeting and met this woman, and her eyes turned reptilian, and she was running for Senate in the United States somewhere. And in my dream, I was at this meeting with all these people, and I was saying to people, "Hey, this woman, she's reptilian. She's got reptilian eyes. Do you want her running for the Senate? Do you want her to win a Senate seat and get in the American government? Do you want these reptilians to take over the American government?" So this is my dream last night. There's some other vague details. It was not a prophetic dream. It was just an ordinary dream. So I woke up, I was quite amused. So at least it was an interesting dream, because some of my dreams were rather boring, like filing papers away in a filing cabinet. So that was an interesting dream. So Jerry, my guest, is actually going to talk about the Noahide law. It's a completely different subject. So I'll get her on the line right now. We're using Skype. And for you, for those of you here on Revolution Radio, just to let you know, this is all totally listener-supported Revolution Radio. So please donate some shekels to Revolution Radio. And if you want to call in during the show today, our phone number here is 360-362-4322. So I'll get Jerry on the call right now. Just bear with me. I'll just pull this up on my screen here. Here we go. And Jerry's in South Carolina in the United States, originally from New Jersey, so she's got sort of a combination accent. Let's see. Hi there, I see you, Jerry.
Oh, hi. Hi, Brian.
Okay. The Noahide laws, I think I first heard about this in 2015, so it seems to be something very important and very dark. So, yeah, tell us about the Noahide laws, Jerry.
Okay, well, I just want to start out with a Bible. In the Bible, just it's not a long, it's Revelation 24, and it says, "I saw thrones on which were seated those who had been given authority to judge." That would be the Jewish Sanhedrin. "And I saw the souls of those who had been beheaded because of their testimony for Jesus and because of the word of God. They had not worshipped the beast or his image and had not received his mark on their foreheads or their hands." Okay, now they're talking about the beheading. And part of the Noahide laws is Jesus is considered idolatry. And they want you to give up Jesus Christ and take their God, which is the serpent, because the Noahide laws are from the Jewish Talmud, and they do not, as you know, they hate Jesus, and that's the thing that, and we're Christians, we're not supposed to give up Jesus. We're supposed to be martyred, and that's the whole thing. We have to give our life up to Jesus, but we're still going to try to warn as many people as possible to have the focus put on the proper people, not the Muslims and Sharia. Sharia law, is not in the United States. Okay, that does happen, beheadings, but that is not what we're talking about here. We're talking about the Jewish Talmud and what came out of the Talmud. And this first started in I have quite a bit of notes if you don't mind, because it's complicated. But
yeah,
I'm just
fine. Yeah, we should go into depth,
It's not a cut and dry, like people just you have to present them all the evidence and put the puzzle together. Otherwise, it doesn't sound, they think you're a kook. But the first time it started was in 1978 with Jimmy Carter.
Oh,
Okay. Yeah. Jimmy Carter was the first to meet with the Chabad. They're called, this group is radical. They're all over the world. They're called Chabad Lubavitcher. Okay. Now he met with them, and it was considered Education Day. The reason why it was Education Day, it was supposed to be for Rabbi Schneerson's birthday. But with the education comes the 7 Noahide laws, which they have the 7. But right now, I just want to say that he put in the joint resolution. And then, let's see. Okay, then the next person to do this was Ronald Reagan. And he issued a proclamation, 1986. The proclamation number is 5463. Again, referring to the Noahide laws and the great Rabbi Schneerson for his great works. Okay, now every president has met with the Chabad Lubavitch group, up to President Trump. Trump has also met with them. Okay.
Well, maybe he was out a bad day and he had too much sugar in his coffee that day. We'll forgive Trump for that.
Yeah.
Sorry.
They said the 7 Noahide laws, it was for the 86th birthday of this Rabbi Menachem Mendel Schneerson. Okay, now they're saying this was the bedrock of society. In other words, this is the bedrock starting from when the United States was founded, that we should follow these laws. And and Barack Obama also designated this also. And what it is this is supposed to be into the Jewish utopia. In 1932, Michael Higger, he wrote a book that the coming reign of the Messiah, the Jewish Messiah, will rule over the Gentiles, and they will be given a choice to stop their idolatry, the worship of idolatry. And if not, the justice of the Sanhedrin will judge, and they will decide, that you will be beheaded. The method
So you're
that they're
saying any
choosing.
Christian who has like a cross in their home or the church, that's a form of idolatry because you're worshiping an
Right,
object, so
right.
therefore you should have your head chopped off?
Yes, because you have to conform to their god, the serpent. Their god, the Jewish god, is the serpent. So this is what they're doing. What coincides with the Jewish utopia? They have that already figured out with the UN. The UN is involved, and it's a golden age. It's going to be a golden age for Jews. Okay, and they call us. We will be their donkeys and their slaves, the remaining Gentiles. Now, if you look on the internet, there's something called the Deagle Report. Okay, and it's a projection of the population of people for 2025. Now they show 100 million people are eliminated. That's what the population
And
will
that's
be.
7 years from now?
Yes.
When was
that's
that
it.
written? When was that published?
Deagle just came out, I think 2 years ago. Yeah, we're going to have 100 million, the population, that's going to be, wiped out. In other words, killed. I don't know what means. They could be using the beheading plus pandemic, which the CDC is already calling for. It's called Disease X.
Yeah.
They did not call the disease, and even Bill Gates said that we will be depopulated with a virus of some sort also.
So Bill Gates said that, or he admitted it? Was he in an off moment?
That there's a bad virus coming and it's going to wipe out a lot of people. And now that the CDC came out a couple months ago, and they said about Disease X is coming. So
you wonder how would they know that? How would they announce that?
Right, because see, we have to be under control. The less population, the more to be controlled. The Georgia Guidestone shows 500 million.
Yeah, I remember, I think Henry Kissinger published a paper in 1974 saying the goal was 500 million because it's hard to control 7 billion
Right.
from today's view. It's easier to control 500 million.
Right. Well, I don't want to jump around too much, but also under the UN, what it's called? It's called UN Sustainable Development Global Socialization Guidestones. So that's what they're calling it. But the Jewish plan is called Tikkun Olam, Hebrew for the reinvention of the world. So they want to reinvent and create their own world where they're going to rule. But it's along with the UN. The UN approves this. They had a conference in 2013. It was called Uniting the United Nations with the 7 Noahide Laws. All the diplomats and embassies gathered under the UN. It's called One People, One World Conference. And what it is, it says one day people from all over the world will be gathered on behalf of the laws of Noah, Rabbi Cohn, and he's the one that said one people, one world. So this is a serious thing because the UN is for this, and this is going to be the world religion. This will be the world religion.
Oh, tied in with the religion.
Yes, and also, okay, so Donald Trump, as I said, the Sanhedrin wrote him a letter, and they want him to usher in the Noahide laws and to uphold and acknowledge the Noahide laws. And that was from Rabbi Schwartz. And also, they are now calling Donald Trump, they're calling him the new King Cyrus. They already minted a coin with his picture on, and on the other side, King Cyrus, and they said he's freeing the Jews. That's what they're saying. And they also asked Donald Trump and Putin to help build the temple, which they are building. They have everything ready, and they want financial and assistance from Putin and Donald Trump. So once that's put in, that's time to start looking because they're going to usher in the Messiah. And then once martial law is called in the United States, then we will be going in front of the Sanhedrin, which was reestablished after 1,600 years. They reestablished the Sanhedrin in 2004. And it's 71 people, 71 Jewish Pharisees, modern-day Pharisees, will be, on this Sanhedrin court. So that's all ready. The Pope approves also. First, it was Pope Benedict, which I have here. Pope Benedict was the first to acknowledge the Noahide laws, and now it's Pope Francis. He had a conference with all the rabbis, and he's also on with the 7 Noahide laws also. So it's really, it's a whole group of people. It's like the Vatican is controlled by the Jews. The Vatican is definitely controlled by the Jews. People try to tell you it's the Jesuits. Yes, the Jesuits are bad, but they all answer to the Jews. I mean, I hate to say it, but that's the way it is. And when I found this out, this enraged me, that because of the fact that they're pushing their religion on us, and they're actually going to kill you, for your belief in Jesus. There's no freedom of religion, which I believe in freedom of religion. Even though I don't agree, I believe people should have the choice, even if it is the Church of Satan or whatever it is. I still believe it's bad, but I still believe that in the United States we should have freedom, and nobody should force their religion.
And I've got 7 statues of the Buddha. I bow down to my Buddha statue, so I guess they'd want to cut off my head too for being an idolater.
Right, because it has to be to conform to their God, and this is what people don't believe. They don't want to know.
I'll never.
Now the Christians, no, I'm not going to do it. I'm going to be a martyr because that's the way to go. But I will fight. Yes, I'm not going to sit back and just, I still believe in. I believe in putting on the armor of God and fighting, and and strong people, and unite and try to fight these. There's not that many of them, but they are in control of our courts. And America is under Talmudic law.
Is it already under telemetic law? This happened under George W. Bush around 2003 or something?
Well, I know that the Judge Anton Scalia, that everybody feels so bad about, I'm glad he's dead, but he was a radical Talmudic scholar. He loved the Jews, and he was a Talmudic scholar, and he was best buddies with Judge Ginsburg. She is a radical. And so I don't like that, that he was a traitor to the United States. So whatever happened to him, they say he was murdered. I won't shed a tear because he was a part of this also. And now in 2004, George Bush, he signed in the Global Anti-Semitic Review Act, okay? And it's designed to force the entire world into never being critical of the Jews, whatever they do. So the thing would be claiming that Israel is a racist state, making any claims that there exists a Zionist conspiracy, offering proof that Jews and their leaders created communism and the Bolshevik Revolution of Russia, making derogatory statements about Jewish people, asserting that spiritually disobedient Jews do not have the biblical right to reoccupy Palestine, any criticism of the Jewish Zionist community for promoting globalism or what some call the New World Order, placing the blame on Jews for the crucifixion of Christ. And now the Pope already exonerated the Jews, says, no, they are not responsible for Christ's death, which is a lie.
What did the Pope say? It was the Romans?
Romans, yes. No, they are absolutely absolved from that. The Pope is...
That's like denying the Bible.
Right. So he is definitely on their side. He's one of them. And, well, after Vatican II, that's when the Catholic Church went down even more. I mean, it was bad to begin with. But prior to that, it was all right. Then they started letting in Freemasonry, and it got the mafia was involved, Jewish mafia and Italian mafia, drug laundering, and, different. It was just corrupt. They say the smoke of Satan entered the Vatican back then, and that's when it really turned bad. So all these popes are really, really Satanists.
I think it's really 1958. That's when we lost the last real Pope Pius.
Yeah.
And in 1958 led to the Vatican II in 1965. I just did a video 3 hours ago with a Catholic scholar, Dr. E. Michael Jones, and said the Catholic Church has been waving the white flag since 1965 and losing every battle in the last 50 years.
Right, they're really bad. I forget what else he did. Well, he did quite a bit of things. There's more stuff here that it's just so much. Okay, we have the code, the ICD-10 code. Now that's under the World Health Association, and that's okay. In the 1920s, the World Health Organization got involved. 1946 became part of the UN. And then the ICD, it stands for International Classification of Diseases. And E978 means the deceased will be executed from beheading or decapitation by guillotine. That's one of them. The reason they did the code was they were saying about the Muslims beheading people, so that's why they needed the code. But we know why they need that code. It goes with the guillotines.
Wow.
1976 also, Georgia, Representative Doug Tepper, he wanted to have one of the methods of execution in Georgia, the guillotine, besides the other methods that they have. So far, I don't believe it was ever passed, but it was brought up because there's been so many botched executions. That's their claim, because the electric has not gone right.
Or poison gas hasn't gone right either. Yeah.
This method would be for guillotine. But so far, I don't think it was passed. I tried to look. Also, it gives you the different codes. All right, it tells you what they are. Let's see. They give codes also. Legal execution, bayonet, also is bayonet. Now, in 2014, Rand Paul went in front of the Congress, wanted to know why the United States military or the United States police force is getting bayonets. They got 12,000 bayonets. There was no explanation.
Wow, that's scary.
He inquired, and so far the man was like, "We'll check it out. We'll check it out." But
So
they're
you
actually.
think this is to enforce the bayonet, the Noahide laws with execution by bayonet?
I think it will be a method of killing. That's more.
The idea they stab you in the heart with a bayonet. Is that how it goes?
I don't know if they could cut your head off with that. I mean, I don't really know, but it just has here part of the method of execution. They put under sharp object bayonet. It's listed, so it could be if martial law comes, because the American police force, which is trained by Israel, is armed to the teeth. I mean, they have more equipment. I mean, almost the same as the troops overseas. I mean, they have everything.
Yes, the militarization of the police. It used to be your friendly neighborhood police. Now it's like militarized.
Right. So they are really armed. And also, you have to remember the DHS, I think it was of over 1 million rounds of hollow point bullets that DHS has been stocking up. Social Security Administration, I forget the other agencies, NOAA, U.S. Forestry, billions of rounds of hollow point bullets, and they're not to be used overseas. They were banned by the Hague Convention. So if they're not to be used overseas, they're to be used here. So they are arming themselves. They want us disarmed, but they are arming themselves.
You should mention DHS means the Department of Homeland Security.
Security, right? And that was under Marcus Wolf, which he died. He was an East German Jew communist that actually headed up the DHS, and that's who they picked. So, but yeah, so that's kind of scary about the codes. Now they claim that it started with Obamacare. There's the code changed when Obama was in office. And so that's what, I notated. And there's more things now also. It's about Freemasonry. That is subordinate to Judaism. And there's a book that his name is Craig Heimbichner. I don't know if I'm saying that right. Heimbichner, and his book is Author of The Blood on the Altar, The Secret History of the World's Most Dangerous Society. And that Freemasonry started in 1738. And what I didn't know was, I found out recently, was Freemasonry is with the Noahide laws. You are a Noahider if you are a Freemason, whether you know it or not. That it says that Albert Mackey he was a Mason, the Lexicon of Freemasonry on page 325, and he said that they are Noahiders, the Freemasons, that they have to follow the the Talmud. And let's see, I know it sounds crazy. I have so much notes. So that's one thing I never knew, that Freemason and Noahides, they endorsed the Noahide laws. They're forced.
They did that, yeah.
I found that out when I was researching. I don't know how I came across it. Probably when I was researching. I never knew that Freemasonry is Judaism, so I was going with the Noahides, trying to find connections, and that's one connection. So that's something scary, that the Gentiles, most of them are Freemasons, and so they'll have to go along. They have to choose. They have to make their choice. But
yeah,
right now
the Freemasons are Gentiles. That's right. Yeah.
Right now they're actually serving two masters. They say they serve Jesus. But they don't. I mean, they think they are. They think it's a good. I mean, they do good works, but yet they have the bad. That they're involved.
Yeah. So I just want to comment on your camera. It's a little bit fuzzier than one you had last week. Is just a different computer than last week?
Yeah, this one is a regular. I was on a cell phone last week.
Okay.
I should stick.
So it's not the
Yeah.
lens is clean. It's just probably the resolution's a bit lower.
Probably try to wave it.
But it's fine. It's okay for YouTube.
Okay. Great. Other stuff I wanted to talk about. Okay, I was reading that most judges, they call themselves activist judges, but they're really Talmudic judges. That's something that I found out.
So they're actually the way they give people the death penalty.
Yes, and it's let's see, guillotines. Okay, the idolatry they call it avoda zera. That's how they say it for idolatry for American, for Noahide. So I have more. Let me see if I covered everything. Oh, another thing too. Obama, before he left office, I guess was about 2 years before, he appointed Rabbi David Saperstein, and he is a religious, he put him for the religious freedom, and he is a Chabad Lubavitch and a Noahider. And he was the first non-Christian in the history of the United States. So he picked
Appoint him to what though?
a religious freedom. So that means that most likely the Talmudic laws. I mean, I don't know what that job entails, but all I know is that he is a Chabad and he's a Noahider. So pushing, maybe going around trying to get more Christians and Gentile, people to sign up. There is quite a few Christians now that are actually taking the Noahide laws. They are actually going to Israel and adopting these Noahide laws. These Christians.
How do they do that if they're idolaters?
Well, you have to. They will forgive you if you can be them. If you go along willingly, then you're okay. But you have to give up Jesus. So these Christians actually gave up Jesus, so they can't call themselves Christians anymore. But that's all I know is they're following the Noahide law. So evidently they gave up.
See, yeah.
Yeah, and there's groups from Texas that have gone, and unbelievable. See, the Zionists
they're not converting to Judaism, though, are they?
No, but they're going with these Noahide law. I don't know how they're going to work this out, but that they said that they went to Israel and they decided that they're going to follow. They're fooled. They think the God of the Old Testament is good. The good God. They don't know it's Lucifer. They don't know it's the serpent. They just think that it's our Old Testament. You know what I'm trying to say? They don't know that they think the rabbis use the Old Testament. They don't know they use the Talmud. That's their primary books.
Yeah,
see, they're
Talmud.
Clueless. If you read Judaism Discovered by Michael Hoffman, that's 1,100 pages. It goes through every detail of the Jewish religion and superstitions.
And the Talmud, you mean?
Yeah, and the Talmud. He's a scholar.
Yeah, I've had him on my show, actually, Mike Hoffman Jr.
He is really good,
I mean, he's an excellent Christian scholar. I highly recommend him. Michael Hoffman Jr.
Right. He is. So to talk about, let's see what else we got here. Okay. Let's see. Oh, also another thing the people are not aware of too. The Jews were promised a new world order in 1940. That was in the New York Times.
Yeah.
Yeah, that somebody, Michael King pointed that out, where I read from his works.
I wonder who promised it. Was it Franklin Roosevelt?
It was some kind of congressman, Greenwood, some kind of last name Greenwood. I forgot his first name. And he was a representative or something, but he, they all got together and, made that, so, so the one world government and the one world religion and the monetary system, that'll all be under the UN. That's the way I'm looking at it. And also, now, Jared Kushner and Obama, they are big Chabad Lubavitchers. They are in with them real close. Now, Jared Kushner, he donated something like $342,000 to Chabad Lubavitch organization, and Donald Trump $11,500. So they are in bed with them. I mean, I hate to say, but this is, you know, I mean, they are very close with the Chabad and the rabbis. So that's why I believe that, you know, Donald Trump or whoever's going to usher in those, they already asked him to do it. And that's why I believe that he will, because he's with them 100%.
But he's a Presbyterian Christian, you know.
Yeah.
Christians voted for him.
Yeah. Well, I read that he's really Jewish. I didn't research it that much, but, you know, from what I hear, possibility that he is.
I think Donald Trump's the reincarnation of General Patton, because he really looks like General Patton. I think he sounds like him. And he was born 6 months after Patton was assassinated by Eisenhower.
Right. Well, yeah, true. Patton was going to write a book when he came back and tell about all the atrocities, what happened with the German soldiers, and he was really discussing how
that would have been good if
they were displaced. But see, what happened was his wife stood at his bed. I mean, she was at his bedside when he was paralyzed for a day, and you know, every day she was there. And the one day that there was a Christmas party going on while he was laid up, and they said to her, "Oh, please come to the party. You know, you've been sitting there so long. You know, just maybe a few minutes, whatever." She left. She came back. He was dead.
Yeah, I think they injected air into him or something. They killed him.
Yeah, so they got her away from him, and then see what happened. So it was not, you know, I mean, but the way the projectile, they said that would had to be something else that killed him. He couldn't have hit his head. They think it was a projectile that went into his neck that they shot. You know, that act wouldn't have made him.
Wasn't.
You know, he would have got hurt. Yeah, so it was very suspicious. You know, but nobody was charged, of course, with the murder.
Yeah,
get away.
Yeah, it was murder.
Mm-hmm. So this is what, you know, I'm just seeing what else I might have missed. Yeah, I got about Kushner there. So, well, like I said, the code. So now you have everything in place, really. Right now we're in peacetime martial law. Obama put us in peacetime martial law on March 16th, 2012, under the NDAA, and everything's set. Now, you know, they're going to take all the resources and whatever. So whatever crisis is going to happen, could be a bank collapse, it could be civil war, it could be unrest or weather, whatever. Then there could be a chance that they could start this. But I still think that I believe that they're waiting. I think the Antichrist has to show up first before this happens.
Even they want the Antichrist to show up first.
Yeah, I think it'll, you know, be a Jew, you know, of course.
But they're just going to make up an Antichrist, or are they waiting for the real thing?
Well, they have a couple of tricks up their sleeve.
Yeah.
See, the Christian Zionists, they're deluded. They're fooled to believing that they're going to be raptured out of here. So they have like an attitude where it's going to be, you know, they don't care. I did mention, right, I mentioned this to quite a few people, and they says, well, we won't be here. That's for the other, you know, the other people, like the other Christians. But what it is with Darby and Schofield, when they wrote that, well, he added all those footnotes and things to the Bible, but they made, see, the rapture is not coming till after the tribulation, when the seventh trumpet rings. But they believe he's going to be coming, you know, any time now. But they do have another plan. They have Project Bluebeam, which they say that that's a possibility. What they're going to do is they are going to use holographic imagery, and then they will have like Jesus coming down, maybe Buddha's going to come down in another country, Allah, and that's all going to be holographic. And they even have the music plate picked out for the UN, and it's Ode to Joy by Mozart. So they have everything in place for that. That's another.
They're counting on people to fall for this, right?
Right, to fall for this. So they're going to be deluded. They're going to be very.
Do you think people are going to fall for this? What do you think?
Oh, I think definitely the Christian Zionists and the ones that don't read the proper Bible. If you read your Bible, there's nowhere in there that says about a preacher of rapture. That was all made up. And
the same with the Buddha. You know, the Buddha said, "Men and gods will never see me again." He was never coming back. He said.
Yeah. See. Well, but they're going to be they're so anxious to get out of here. See, they want to start the World War III, but they want to get out of here. They don't want to be here. So they figure we're going to be stuck. But obviously, they're going to be in for a delusion.
You can see how they're so manipulated in that state.
Oh, they're terrible. They are terrible. When you try to talk to them, like I said, they are very, they're so pro-Jewish. They worship Israel. They actually worship a state.
Yeah,
they
Jews control their churches and program that way. I mean, it's so diabolical.
It's sad, but God said not to be fooled. That he's going to send out the wolves in sheep's clothing, and these preachers and teaching this, and that's what they're all going to go to hell. They're if they don't repent, yes, if they repent, fine, they will be saved. But but anyway, I'm prepared. I know what to look for. Thank God I changed, because I used to be a Zionist. I used to think just like them, and I was a warmonger. I was bad.
Yeah, I remember with the raid on Entebbe in 1976. I was so pro-Israel. I thought the Jews were so brilliant and daring to save all these Jews in Uganda.
Right. So anyway, but many people don't know about these Noahide laws. So that's why I think it's important to let people look, and then you give the proper information. Some are not going to listen, but then also as Congressman Dannemeyer was the one that wrote about it. They took down his site. They totally took down his site. You cannot go on there anymore. I had to find an alternative site. He said there was only, when this bill was introduced, there was only 4, I think, senators in there to vote on it, and they voted, and he didn't even know about it. Then he found out about it.
Sounds like the Federal Reserve. They just had a few people left on December 23rd, 1917. They put through the Federal Reserve bill. It's all planned that way.
Yeah, right. So this is what they did. They pushed it through, And but he's good. Congressman Dannemeyer, and his wife is Lorraine Day, and she has a good website, Good News About God. If you go on there, she has a lot of information. Brother Nathaniel, he knows about the Noahide laws. He has information.
He's very good. Yeah, Brother Nathaniel.
I like him, yes, he's with the Orthodox, but he loves Jesus, though. He always talks about Jesus. So, I don't agree with the Orthodox Church, but I think they're better than the Catholic Church.
Yeah, but, I like Brother Nathaniel's way of talking as well. He's so expressive in his 5-minute videos.
I love the way he acts. And then Tex Mars, he's another one that knows about the Noahide. That's for people that want to look, Michael Hoffman, Pamela Schufert, she's another one that knows. There's so many that are out there, but like I said, they're alternative and people don't turn in. You're not going to hear it on the mainstream news. And they don't, nobody's talked about it. I found out about 7-8 years ago when I woke up. I was glad that I did. I found out in 2009 about it.
And that's what they can get away with this. How are they going to get Americans to behead their fellow Americans? There should be another step to explain this. Or get more notes you want to read.
That the guillotines are in the FEMA camps, wherever the FEMA camps are located, which right now they have something called FEMA barges. They just put one out to Hawaii because of the volcano, the eruption of the volcano. They're displacing people, and they have to go 10 miles out on these barges and they're like little mini prisons. And that's not the first time. Now they're actually just coming out with it. But prior to that was Hurricane Harvey off of Houston. In Houston, Texas, they had those FEMA barges. Nobody believed it. But they started out years ago with the Google barges. And that's how I first heard about it. This was about 4 years ago. Google barges, if you Google that. And then, people thought, oh, that's crazy. But now with these actual FEMA barges, it is legitimate. They're putting them in there. So God knows if these people are going to get out or what. So you don't know what's going on right now. That's the problem. They're homeless, and so
Yeah.
they're gonna work it somehow. I mean, they're gonna, I don't know how they're gonna do it, but like I said, they have anything could be a FEMA camp now. The Walmarts. People were saying years ago the Walmarts were getting renovated because they said it was a plumbing issue, all on the border of Texas and I think it was the lower eastern part, down Midwest or whatever. And they said it was plumbing problems, but then they saw trucks renovating. So it did turn out that in Houston, they were taking them to the to the Walmarts.
Wow.
So, yeah, they were taking the people to the Walmarts. And also during World War II, Sam Walton, the owner of the Walmarts, he ran FEMA camps for the government.
He ran FEMA camps.
Right, for
Oh,
the
I didn't know
government.
that. Wow.
Yeah, so, so that's ironic that now they're, and we remember Janet Napolitano, see something, say something, that slogan she had.
Yeah.
It's like Big Brother, everybody was watching, Walmart. So
Yeah.
they can make anything a FEMA camp, but I believe that they do exist. I remember when they asked Glenn Beck, he had come out and they were going to try to debunk. First he said, guess what? I found out they exist. And that day he said, no, I never said that. He changed his mind. He did find out and then he denied. He said, no, they don't. Wow. So it was really weird.
So it's still something of a secret then.
Yeah. Well, they must have threatened him, so don't talk about it, I mean, he did admit and then he changed. So they really, they have everything covered. All their bases. I mean, and also, I didn't get into this. So not that I hope I'm not talking too much, but the reason they want the beheadings and all that is because don't forget the organs are very, very valuable, and the Jews can make a lot of shekels on those organs. And they busted, I think it was 144 back in 2009. 144 rabbis and senator or something. There was congressmen involved. There was a sting in New York, and they caught these rabbis with the body, all body organs and parts. It was a lot of people.
I think in order to use organs, the person has to be alive. They take them out while the person's still alive. That's the preferable way.
Okay, yeah, because they did.
So
well,
beheading is probably not the best way. Beheading would probably ruin the organs, I think.
Oh, okay. I know they took from Syrians. They took 18,000. I was reading an article in Veterans Today that they took 18,000 organs from Syrians.
18,000 organs.
Yeah,
Probably 18,000. I wonder if they killed the Syrians or just took an organ.
I don't know. I just
God,
see
that's
they want.
just so evil. Isn't that just diabolical? It's just so awful. How they can get away with so much? This is Israel, you mean?
Right. And the Palestinians, they've done that too. I mean, they've caught them doing that, definitely. To the Palestinians, I know, because I think, that was documented, the fact that they did that. But the money that you can get from these black market, the organs are, outrageous. I don't know how much the fees are, but they have everything,
I guess a kidney means someone's life, it's life or death to them.
But see, this is why I hear that they're making, with these clones, that's what they were trying to do with cloning people. So they have these body parts, And I do believe in the cloning also technology that they've been doing after World War II. They started, I think, Russia with the cloning of animals
Probably,
and,
yeah. They're probably not
and
telling us about even a fraction of it.
oh yeah, we don't know half of it. I mean, there is people that have talked about it. There's a good series, Dr. Peter Beater, and that's his name, but he wrote a lot of these journals about synthetic robotoids and organic robotoids and clones and different things. And I think he was an industrialist, and he was big with the elites. And back in I think with the Cold War and stuff, he wrote a lot of things during the Carter administration. You could see he has all the interviews up on YouTube, I believe. And there's another guy too, Donald Marshall. He talks about cloning, and George Green. So there's a few people talking. So whether it's, but what they're trying to do is corrupt all the life forms too. That's the whole thing. Whatever God created, they hate, and they just want to make their own creation. They're like Frankenstein.
Anti-logos, anti-nature. Do anything to go against God or go against nature. It's what the International Jew wants. It's like that's what Satan does, right?
Right. Corrupt, destroy, kill. I mean, all these wars, famine, and I mean, well, now that they could create, they have weather weapons, so they could create the storms, and there's so much things that's what they want to destroy, all your food sources, so that you depend on them. That's what this mark of the beast, when it cuts closer, you won't be able to buy or sell, and you have to go to them. That's why you have to be your own, prep. You have to do prepping. You have to do your
patent all the seeds, so they control the seeds. So the idea is this could lead to they could choose to starve people.
Right. Well, Bill Gates, he has the seed vault in Norway with Monsanto. That's where all seeds, all the organic, and they destroyed Afghanistan. They planted all the GMO seeds and took away all their organic seeds. They devastated that country.
So I think the idea is if they want to starve the population, they can just withdraw the seeds and make them starve.
Right. And
I just want to review for the audience when the International Jews have starved people. This is astonishing. During World War I, the Russians and the British were in Iran, and the British pushed the Russians out. So from 1917 to 1919, the British cut off the ports. They wouldn't allow ships of food to come to the ports. And we know Britain is controlled by the International Jews, so they starved 8 to 10 million Iranians to death. And this has gone down the memory hole. Very few people know about this. Even the Iranians have forgotten about it because the British controlled their press and the history. So 8 to 10 million Iranians, perhaps the biggest genocide of the 20th century. And very few people know about it. There's an Iranian scholar at Cornell University, an Iranian-American scholar, who's got books on this. If people want to check the source, it's been verified by American diplomats who were there. British confirm this. This is actually true. So it's starving the masses to death. They've done it before.
Right. I didn't know that. I'm going to have to research that.
People know. I want to do more in-depth show and just, international Jews starve Iran, 18 million dead. Think of that. And now today, Israel's so upset about Iran. Iran's a terrorist state after the international Jews starved to death 8 to 10 million Iranians.
Right.
The Jews have the gall to say, Israel has the gall to say that Iran is a terrorist state.
Right, and Iran hasn't attacked anyone in 200 years, what I read.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
They are, unbelievable how they're trying. They desperately want a war with Iran. Well, it was planned though. 8 years ago. They said they were General Wesley Clark. He's Jewish. He comes from a long line of rabbis. Anyway, he said that they were going to attack Syria, Iran, Iraq, 7 countries in 7 years. Of course, it's a little longer, but Iran's definitely on there. Syria,
Libya and Afghanistan as well, 7 of them. So next in line is Syria and then Iran. So they're behind schedule.
They're behind. I think that we are delaying them, the people that are awake, maybe. I believe their plans
Oh,
are,
thank
yeah,
you, Jerry. I delayed them as long as I can. Thank you.
yes. I do believe they're behind schedule. I really do. I think the people are, like Brzezinski said, the people are waking up. He was worried that the people were waking up.
Yes, the big
And
Brzezinski. I saw that video. He's saying, and they said it used to be just the Atlantic world. Now it's the Pacific world with China. We can't stop these people. What are we going to do? How are we going to? He was saying,
now,
and I don't think he realized this was being filmed for YouTube. Like it was a closed meeting of the Council on Foreign Relations that was filmed, and you can see it on YouTube. My God,
no,
see
it's
big.
correct. Well, he's gone. He's dead.
Yeah, he's
And
dead. Yeah.
Rockefeller's dead, finally. Now we just have George Bush. He's still alive. He's got 9 lives, George
How about
Bush.
Henry Kissinger? We'll have to throw a party when Henry Kissinger goes. He's about 90.
Yeah, oh, yeah. So we got a couple to go. I mean, Rothschild, he's still alive. There was a rumor that he died in a plane crash, but that's not true. He's still alive.
I remember
Jacob
when David Rockefeller died at 101. I have this mass email list I sent out to everybody. Let's celebrate. David Rockefeller died. Yay! I did it within hours getting the news.
Finally, he had something like 8. What was that true? He had 8 heart transplants.
Oh, I lost count. I think maybe
Yeah.
he was drinking the blood of babies, or little children. They really get them very scared, so there's lots of adrenaline in their blood, and then they drink the adrenaline. I suppose probably something like that gave him an elixir.
Right. Well, I read that about the reptilian, the actual reptilians, that they, drink the blood of the babies and the organs and things. So I believe.
And you mentioned the snake at the beginning of your talk, how the Jews worship the snake, and the reptilians are snake-like, and the Buddha describes Nagas as being snake-like reptilian. The Buddha describes this as a deva, the type of angel. Some are good or some are bad. So really, when you said the snake, it really makes me think of reptilians like Nagas in Buddhist cosmology.
Yeah, well, they definitely it's the serpent. There was a postcard made. I think it was, I don't know, in the 30s. And it was a picture of the world and a snake wrapping around Oreo Borealis, I think it's called, that wraps around the world with the Jewish people. I think it was for their New Year. And they actually
described in the Protocols of Zion. They have a 2-page summary of the snake going around the world, and that's when they will be a summation of the global takeover.
Right. Well, see, that's why they definitely have that. Like I said, the Jewish utopia is planned for 2030. So, that's documented. That's with the UN. That's something you could go read. And
really? Is this in UN publications?
Yeah, well, that's what. Yeah, the UN. See, they put it under. They don't put it under Jewish Utopia UN, but they call it the UN Sustainable Development Global Socialism Guidelines. It's going to be under socialism, but in 2030 is the Jewish Utopia also, and it's the reinvention of the world. See, so between the UN and that, but they're not going to come right out and say, oh, the Jews are going to take over the world.
Yeah, read between the lines, you're saying.
Right. But that's that control. It's a grid of control, based on the carbon, the population, they're throwing everything in it, the pollution, so it's like control.
Oh, we have the music coming on. We'll stick around after the break. Hang on for about 5 minutes, and I'll bring on Pete Pop Heracles. The 3 of us can have a talk. We can continue this. Okay, this is very good talk so far, Jerry. Really appreciate your research on this. Okay, and I know the audience can't hear you, but they can hear me while we're fading out. So I really appreciate the talk, and it's very scary. And the fact that they do this, in our government documents and our publications, put it right in front of our face. I guess we're getting overwhelmed by background music now.
Listen to Revolution Radio at freedomslips.com. We'll be right back after this message.
So I'm listening now. Is Peter there?
Yes, he is.
Hey, Pete, you're on Revolution Radio Live. How are you doing?
Oh, I'm doing wonderful.
Yeah,
How you
you
guys?
sound clear. Your lighting is good, loud and clear. Good to hear you.
Yeah.
Hi, Pete.
Yeah, I want to
Hello.
introduce you to Geraldine Westfall in South Carolina. Pete's in Maryland, near Washington, D.C.
Hi,
Okay.
Geraldine.
Hi, nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you also.
Yes, great interviews you do. I just was listening the other day.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, I think Jerry's watched a lot of your videos because she posts them on my Facebook page for me.
Right.
Oh, wow.
Yeah,
Well, Brian's such a great host. He brings the best out in everyone.
yeah, and it really brings out my own modesty too. That's what people love
Right.
about
No,
me
he is.
most: my modesty, my humility, my humbleness. Yeah, so we've just been talking about the Noahide laws for the last hour.
Right.
Jerry took some notes, did a lot of studying. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, my knowledge about the Noahide laws is cursory. We discussed it a little bit last time, but I know they're up to no good in trying to impose them on us. I know that much.
Yeah. Yeah, so Pete, we don't have to talk about the Noahide laws. Well, I guess 1 hour is enough on that. But she was saying it started in the Carter administration when they introduced it in 1978. And then George Bush brought in more around 2004. They sort of incrementally brought in the Noahide laws. So the idea is if you're a Christian, you're an idolater because you're worshiping statues of Jesus on the cross. And the penalty is to be beheaded, according to the Noahide laws. So that's really one of the worst ways to spend your afternoon, getting beheaded.
But how realistic is the enforcement of these silly laws?
Yeah, that's a good question. Are you still there, Jerry? Yeah, how would they enforce it? That's a good question, eh? Maybe it's incremental, how they introduce things into laws and they let years go by, decades go by, and they kind of normalize it. Like, say, things like homosexuality, and now we have LGBTQ, and then we have transgender. Things happen incrementally. So I guess it's a concern if they're trying to introduce Noahide laws into American law.
So Noahide laws endorse homosexuality?
No, I'm just saying the homosexuality is a sign of a sort of a progressive change in American thinking.
I
remember we
understand.
did a video at the Founding Fathers. They would hang people for homosexuality, how the Jews changed it. So maybe it'll give them a century, they'll turn the Noahide laws into actual beheadings. Yeah, it's something to be concerned about. Okay.
So have we lost Jerry then?
Yeah.
Okay, well listen, okay, so should we go on to a different subject then?
Yeah, we can talk about anything you like. Hey, please subscribe to the Myra channel. Please donate. My website,